Welcome to Vanfluence. In this series, I'll share a beginner's perspective on how to plan for and execute on an adventure vehicle project. I'm no expert, but I can certainly share what I've learned to this point to help anyone just starting out to give their project some wheels to move, literally and figuratively. While I can't guide you in the actual build, I can certainly try to help you think of how to get to that point, and all before you start spending. So get your notebook out and follow along with this easy series. So you've been seeing converted vans and buses everywhere. You see them all over social media with awesome features and people going on adventures. You watch YouTube channels where people are building and modifying their own vehicles, and now you're hooked. And you want to try it for yourself. But where do you start? Embarking on the journey of van life can be an exciting and fulfilling experience, but it's essential to begin with a solid plan and a clear understanding of your goals. First of all, you're definitely not alone. In fact, the van life movement has been going full tilt, especially in parts of the country where there are outdoor and remote adventures to be had. The crazy part is, this is nothing new. The concept has been around for a while. This rich history and the vibrant community of van lifers provide a valuable resource for those looking to join the movement, offering a wealth of knowledge and shared experiences to draw inspiration from. Before people started converting cargo and transit vans on a professional level, RVs and campers have always been a huge symbol of the adventurer, and that has never stopped. The mobile home is a standard representation of travel and nomadic living. The difference now is having all the features of a fully livable RV in the sleek size of a cargo or transit van. No special permit required. No need to have a special place to park. No concern about needing to drive something the size of a small ocean vessel. With the simplified setup, you can now go more places and do more with ease. No longer is adventuring so large and cumbersome. Not to mention the customization aspects is another level of freedom that just makes it awesome. See, while you can customize a camper, it's still a very specific aesthetic and function. With most manufacturers, you're limited to different models they create and minimal personalization. On top of that, there's no specific choice in the components used, so you might be stuck paying for things you don't need or getting things that aren't high quality. But as people started realizing that smaller vehicles were a blank canvas to modify, suddenly, mechanical creativity joined forces with pragmatism, and folks began applying principles of automotive work and house building to create some amazing conversions that some even live full-time in. And depending on your creativity with budget, it could cost way less than your typical full-featured RV. So, if you've watched this far, then you're clearly in agreement that van life is a pretty exciting thing, and you'd definitely like to get in on it. But how? And even more importantly, how much? What do you need to know? What do you need to learn? How long will it take? How much effort will it take? Unfortunately, all these questions can't be answered in a single video, but you can get a step closer to the answers by considering some very important things. First and foremost would be usage. What exactly will you be using this adventure vehicle for? Will it be to get away for a fun weekend? Will it be to tour the country and explore? Will it be your home that you live in full time? The next thing to consider would be accommodations. How many passengers? Will this be for you and maybe a partner? Will you have a whole family to bring? Are you doing this solo? In line with this, how much cargo will you be bringing? Does adventure mean lots of gear and equipment? Accommodations will determine how much space you need. Probably the most important thing to consider is your budget. How much do you have to spend on this? If you're watching this, then maybe you don't have unlimited funds to dream as big as you like. Or maybe, like with designing a house, you want to be part of the creation of something this important in your life. In any case, the amount of money needed will be determined by how you answer this. Considering how these aspects apply to you and your situation will determine the type of vehicle you should be looking at, the amount of space needed for your goal, and the features needed to do it safely and comfortably. It's important that as you think about this, you should try and separate the want from the need. This will be important during the process. For example, if you said that you're doing this solo and you don't have a lot of money to spend, then the best route would be to find a used, smaller wheelbase cargo or transit van to convert with simple features, whether on your own or with help. This would help keep everything on the smaller side in order to fit in, which would also affect the price and the time it takes to configure. The assumption is that if you could afford to go and buy a converted vehicle made to your customizations, you would have already done so and wouldn't be watching this video. Since that's not likely you, then here's what you should do before starting on your van life journey. Write down the answers to all these questions. Have a narrative in your head of what kind of traveler you are and what you want to get from the experiences. Having the vision and the reasons for the vision are more important than how much things will cost or how long it will take. Knowing exactly what you want is the key to everything that follows and will avoid costly oversights. Read them through, and if you're not alone in this, make sure that you review it with anyone else who will be involved with the vision. Significant others and family members need to sign off too. At the end of all your answers, write down how much time and money you're willing to spend. At this point, you probably have a vision of what you want in a converted adventure vehicle. But answering these questions and putting some numbers next to that vision will enable you to make the right decisions to achieve that vision. With your mission outlined and scoped, now it's all about learning what your options are. And what are your options? Well, considering all your answers, this comes down to your budget. Before we determine what accommodations and amenities you'll have, we have to consider the vehicle itself. We'll cover some popular vehicle types in another video. For now, let's focus on how the vehicle budget will affect your conversion budget. Take your budget number and subtract how much you're willing to spend on a vehicle. This could be a used van with high mileage for a very low amount, leaving sufficient funds for the conversion. Or, if you're wanting to buy new, this might eat into your conversion budget. This is tricky because it'll be different for everyone. You might be asking yourself, well, how much will a conversion cost? I can see the price of the vehicle from the start, but what about the rest? Again, this really comes down to how much you're willing to spend. Remember, a premium conversion through contractors tends to start at around $80,000. If you're planning on spending way less than that, also be ready to roll up your sleeves and perhaps do some of the work yourself, or come up with some cost-saving solutions. The key thing at this point is that you know how much you want to spend in total, breaking that down to vehicle cost and conversion expenses. If it's not quite what you had envisioned, go back to your answers and rethink things, or simply change the numbers to better match what you want. When you're done with this exercise, make sure you have that amount on hand before moving on to the next stage in your adventure vehicle planning.